Welcome to Finding Margo using Gus. A few notes before we get started. Please silence your cell phones, anything else that makes noise. You can feel free to take photos and videos if you like, as long as they don't have any external lights or flashes, anything like that. The show will run about an hour with no intermission, so if you need to use the restroom, just sneak out the sides and make sure that you're avoiding everyone. The dancers will be filling the space in front of you. I also want to really quickly give a special thank you. It's not in the program because it was more recent than the programs, to Peter Petronello, who has sponsored our promotional materials for the show. And hi. So Patty is demonstrating my last announcement, which is those of you in chairs have wheelie chairs. Please try not to wheel them all over the space. We need the room to dance in, so please stay put. All right. So without further ado, we would like to present Finding Margo using Gus.
past the airport, a dream in switchgrass and concrete. 3 gray floors of smoky windows facing the street. Michael pulls the blinds back up, stares blankly down at the intersection, watching for the guy who's got the angel dust. Crystal clear connection. Days like dominoes, all in a line. We cheer for the home team every time. Lakeside view, lakeside view, lakeside view, for my whole crew. Most nights now sleep in the kitchen, keep my face cool on the floor. And John comes by to drop off his envelopes, still playing postman after all these years. Pull down my army surplus jacket, dig through some drawers to find the keys. Emerge transformed in a million years from days like these. Under each eye, little grease paint smudge. You can't judge us, you're not the judge. Lakeside view, lakeside view, lakeside view, for my whole crew. And just before I leave, I throw up in the sink one whole life recorded in disappearing ink. And Ray left a message, thumbtacked to the door. I don't even bother trying to read them anymore. Lakeside view, lakeside view, lakeside view, for my whole crew. screen from the CVS. Use too much and make a great big mess. Wait where shadows mask or hide my scent. So many so-called friends working for the government. Dig through the trash, sleep on the grates, and watch for the cars with the counterfeit Florida plates. Scribble ciphers on the library bathroom wall. Map a path from here to home. Can't quite catch 'em all. Calculate magnetic north and turn the other way. Wait for the coming disaster. I could do this all day. Dig through the trash, sleep on the grates, and watch for the cars with the counterfeit Florida plates. It seems like everyone's cut me free and left me to the tender cares of my faceless enemy. Feel so hungry, probably pass out soon. Look for a tree to lean up against, whistle a tuneless tune. This may be the night my point men finally come. Wait for the fog to catch up with me, so I can at least feel numb. Dig through the trash, sleep on the grates, and watch for the cars with the counterfeit Florida plates. With the counterfeit Florida plates. With the counterfeit Florida plates. Sleeping off your demons when I come home. Spittle bubbling on your lips, fine white foam. I am young and I am good. It's a hot Southern California day. If I wake you up, there will be hell to pay. And alone in my room, I am the last of a lost civilization. And I vanish into the dark and rise above my station. Rise above my station. Wake you up, and when I do, you blaze down the hall and you scream. I'm in my room with the headphones on, deep in the dream chamber, and then I'm awake and I'm guarding my face, hoping you don't break my stereo, because it's the one thing that I couldn't live without. So I think about that, and then I sort of black out, held under these smothering waves by your strong and thick-veined hand. But I'm gonna wriggle up on dry land. '36 Hudson in the garage. All sorts of junk in the unattached spare room. Dishes in the kitchen sink. New straw for the old broom. Friends who don't have a clue. Well-meaning teachers, but down in your arms, I am a wild creature. Floor 2 foot high with newspapers. White carpet thick with pet hair. Half eaten gallons of ice cream in the freezer. Fresh fuel for the sodium flares. I write down good reasons to freeze to death. In my spiral ring notebook. But in the long tresses of your hair, I am a battling frog. no matter where you live, there'll always be a few things, maybe several things, that you're gonna find really difficult to forgive. There's gonna come a day when you feel better. You'll rise up free and easy on that day, float from branch to branch, lighter than the air. Just when that day is coming, who can say, who can say? Our mother has been absent ever since we founded Rome. But there's gonna be a party when the wolf comes home. We're gonna commandeer the local airways to tell the neighbors what's been going on. And they will shake their heads and wag their bony fingers in all the wrong directions, and by daybreak we'll be gone. I'm gonna get myself in finding trim, scope out every angle of unfair advantage. I'm gonna bribe the officials, I'm gonna kill all the judges. It's gonna take you people years to recover from all of the damage. Our mother has been absent ever since we founded Rome. But there's gonna be a party when the wolf comes home. Oh! The reception's gotten fuzzy, the delicate balance has shifted. Put on your gloves and your black pumps, let's pretend the fog is lifted. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you say you love me, pretty soon you won't. If we get our full 70. We won't pass this way again, so kiss me with your mouth open. Turn the tires toward the street and stay sweet. All the chickens come on home to roost, plump bodies blotting out the sky. You know it breaks my heart in half, when I see them trying to fly, 'cause you just can't do things your body wasn't meant to. Hike up your fishnets, I know you. If we live to see the other side of this, I will remember your kiss, so do it with your mouth open. And take your foot off of the brake, for Christ's sake. We all can dream of blazing glory, but all I dream of now is you and your blue eyes. It's strange to think how we can feel we don't live our own lives. I wasn't sure about my own, but now I'm feeling fine. Your video game books, they might get me funny but Staff Sergeant Max Mayhem gets me hard. And I'm starting to see not just what you want from me, but what you want to get from what you got. Now what do you think you're gonna be? You think you leave some kind of lasting mark, but with infinite tomorrows. And no, this isn't fair. No one gets remembered, but right now I just don't care. Your video game looks thick, might get me funny looks, but Staff Sergeant Max Mayhem gets me hard. And I'm starting to see not just what you want from me, but what you want to get from what you've got. And I wish our lives were so much simpler. And I hope you get to have your moment in the fight, but no one ever gets to be quite who they want to be. You want it to matter, boy, well, you matter to me. Your video game looks thick, might get me funny looks, but Staff Sergeant Max Mayhem gets me hard. And I'm starting to see not just what you want from me, but what you want to get from what you've got. Got up before dawn, went down to the racetrack, riding with the windows down. Shortly after your first heart attack, parked behind the paddock, cracking asphalt underfoot, coming up through the cracks, pale green things, pale green things. Watch the horses run their workouts. You held your stopwatch in your left hand. racing form beneath your arm, casting your gaze way out to no man's land. Sometimes I'll meet you out there, lonely and frightened, flicking my tongue out at the wet leaves, pale green things, pale green things. My sister called at 3 a.m. just last December. She told me how you died at last, at last. And that morning at the racetrack was one thing I remembered. I turned it over in my mind like a living Chinese finger trap. Seaweed in Indiana, sawgrass, pale green things, pale green things.
Listen to the engine roar. Just hang tight. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Six cylinders underneath the hood, crashing and kicking on. Listen to the engine whine. I am gonna make it through this year. If it kills me, I am gonna make it through this year. If it kills me. I played video games in a drunken haze. I was 17 years young. Hurt my knuckles punching the machines. The taste of Scotch rich on my tongue.
we hung out, trading swigs from the bottle, all bitter and clean, locking eyes, holding hands, twin high maintenance machines. I am gonna make it through this year if it kills me. I am gonna make it through this year if it kills me. I drove home in the California dust. I could feel the alcohol inside of me. Hung pictured the look on my stepfather's face, ready for the bad things to come. I downshifted it as I pulled into the driveway. The motor screaming out, stuck in second gear. The sea hands.
So, does anybody have questions? Yeah.
Twitter, I've done a lot more reading to do. The book you had before, I saw the John Reed's. What book is that? How is that related?
This one in the corner is Paper Towns. So that was the second book that we did. Yeah. The books are just the paperback copies of John's books.
They're all John.
Yeah, so these are the 4 books that were in the show. They're the highlighted and annotated ones that I gave to the dancers to read during the process with all of my thoughts about what I wanted to do with them.
That's the order.
Yes, that's the order, yeah. So we figured we'd start with kind of the lightest of the 4 and get progressively. Unfortunately.
Yes.
So.
Sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah, basically the books are influencing dance mostly in the idea of the relationships that are happening. Some of them are characters in the books. Some of them are, 2 characters from 2 different books that seem to share kind of a philosophy or have some kind of connection. That was what we do, what those 2 talk about. So, yeah.
Is that what you do? Is you have books that you read?
I mean, we do all kinds of things. This one is about books. The mission of the company is to do dances about things that people wouldn't normally consider art or dance. Our first feature was a video game themed piece. We did a piece at the Pittsburgh Fringe Festival last year about Dungeons and Dragons. We had a table of players playing a live session of Dungeons and Dragons, and we were translating it into movement as it's going on. So we do a lot of different things, and it tends to be kind of all over the place. But we like to kind of target our marketing and everything towards the people who might be interested in the source material, and kind of get them interested in dance. And reading.
Yes, right. Yes, read all of his books. They're fantastic. They're fabulous.
I know where I that's cool.
Yeah.
All the partner work throughout the entire piece, I kept trying to think the whole time it was the perfect adjective. I couldn't come up with it. Strained, reluctant, all those words, and that's not normally something you see in partnering. Is that something that was conscious from the start, or is that something that you guys found during the process?
I think it kind of came out of the process. I mean, I think strained is probably a really good word for it. I hadn't thought about that in those terms. But I mean, there tends to be some angst in John's books, and so like this long duet that these 2 had in the middle was a lot of trying to kind of articulate the inner monologue of the narrator of that book. We called that piece Layers because there's a thread running through this is looking for Leska. There's a thread running through it of the narrator counting the layers in between their bodies. So they're like sitting on the couch next to each other, and he thinks, my pants, my underpants, her pants, and counts the number of layers in between them. So there was that kind of sense of having the urge and not really knowing what to do with it. So we worked with the process for that one to start.
I have no idea.
It's gone
I
through
can't
so many
believe
different
it's so many
stages.
I'm kind of mean in
hold it.
That one
I like
started.
you around the lot.
That piece, actually, if I recall correctly, that piece of choreography started out as the duet that Lamar and Amber do immediately after that, the slower version.
And then we made,
And then we
reversed it.
We roughed it up and then threw it to the floor. Yeah.
And we made
These
her-
guys want to kill me at least once a rehearsal because I'll come over and go, okay, take that and put it on the floor, and then I'll go away and come back in 20 minutes and I'll have something cool.
Okay, I'll do it standing and do it.
Now do it backwards
I did.
and upside down. So,
I was a little rough in that.
but yeah,
one.
it took on some really interesting qualities, I think. I don't know, what do you guys have anything about the experience of it?
The first time we did it, usually, what's ironically enough, is usually he's really good at me, and then we do West River done, and we just reversed. This is a lot
Very
more.
different.
It was really different.
I like to payback.
Yeah.
Oh, such payback. A lot of overdue.
And in terms of, again, kind of connecting it to the book, particularly for that one, for Looking for Alaska, a lot of the time there's this theme of the narrator in the book is relatively passive for the first part of the novel. He doesn't do much. He's sort of acted upon by other things. People are, looking for Alaska. He goes off to boarding school, and he's sort of just there, and everyone's kind of pulling him in all different
And
directions.
he's not really participating.
Making friends for him. Like he makes friends, but it's not anything he did. It's the fact that somebody came up and became his friend. So there is a lot of that kind of being manipulated by external forces.
It definitely progressed from way when we first started doing it. We just had like the basic skeleton or something, and then every rehearsal that we practiced it got different and harder and more intense, and we added more emotions to it, we added more interesting details to it, until it got to this point. And it just was like, it felt like every single rehearsal, even up until like the 10th rehearsal last night, it felt like we were adding
We added a
and moving
thing
and changing.
last night.
Yeah.
We added sort of an intention.
And it always, and that was like the whole, like this whole time, like the relationship between the two characters is always changing throughout the book. She's always kind of like pushing him and kind of like on the outside and tries to further herself away from him, and he's constantly trying to get closer. It's good. It took a long process. It was really long. It was good though. Yeah. She got along.
Any other questions?
The music
Yeah.
was wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. The music is, I was really excited to work with this. About half of it is Mountain Goats. The second to last piece, the duet that Amber and I did, is John Green's younger brother has a band, and so that's his band. The rest of it is original compositions that were written by other fans of John Green's books. I basically sent out a call, and he has a very active fan community. So I sent out a call, just a general call saying, I'm looking for composers. And within 24 hours, I had 6 people.
Yes.
And I basically just sent them, I had with the internet, I had a Google document that they were all invited to, that had kind of the ideas that we were going to be working with for each piece. And then they could take the pieces that sounded exciting and kind of put their own spin on them. So we ended up with some really interesting
And you
stuff.
had a piece like within that 24 hours.
Yeah,
Like 6
actually.
people interested, and one person heard to compose something and sent it along. And she brought it to rehearsal.
Within,
Like she told us last
I
week.
think I put the call out on a Friday, and like by Sunday, Ethan had sent me his piece.
Yeah.
For grenades.
It
And
was
like,
in grenades. Oh,
and it was perfect, and it was
So good.
amazing. So,
Oh my
it-
god, yeah,
we got,
grenades are like the best.
Oh my God,
It's so good.
and it was the first piece that we got.
Sweet Amber, the one that they did towards the end.
Yeah,
Beautiful
and
piece.
That movie, that song was made up.
yeah, and it was fascinating to me because I didn't exactly know what I was going to get. I was just sort of, I sent them this document, and said, this is kind of what we're working with. Ethan sent back that track with a page in the body of the email explaining where he got that piece of music and how he came up with it, and that, thinking about this is the main character of Looking for Alaska and the main character of Baltimore Stars, and looking at looking
case
at
you're wondering.
the idea that it was because it was the transition piece to get us from one to the other. It was the end of Looking for Alaska and the beginning of the False Flag Stories. And the idea was that Lamar's character has determined that he's not going to get closure. The universe is not going to give him closure. He has to create it for himself. Hazel, at the beginning of the book, basically has shut herself off from the world because she knows she's going to die and hurt people. That's what it's called, grenades, because she's a line in the first half of the book where she says, I'm a grenade. I'm going to blow up and I'm going to hurt people. And her reaction to that is to close off and to just stop talking to people, stop going out. And Ethan took this in a really interesting direction and said, okay, so Hazel is the first half of the phrase because she never finishes anything. She starts and then pulls back. Miles is the second half of the phrase because he's forcing himself to finish something. And it just went from there.
And everything which intimately enough we love about how Ellen choreographs is that it started with really fun, interactive, like improvisation games. So we all can put a little bit of ourselves in the choreography, so that makes it a little bit more organic. That's why it just clicks, because it's a bit of every one of us.
Yeah.
Every single section had a part how we choreographed from
All four of us, yeah.
Yeah, and I like generally the way that I choreograph is I come in with an idea, and a lot of times I'll either do games, or I'll sort of give them rules.
We love games.
Or I'll do
Improv games.
Or I'll do a problem solving activity, like when I came in a few weeks ago and told you guys to transpose that duet to the floor. You know, and that's all I'll say is you have this standing duet. And actually, I think what I said for that one was you have this standing duet. It needs to start standing and end standing and go to the floor in between and be on the floor for the whole thing in the middle.
Kind of like,
And then I just sort of went away for 10 minutes and came back.
that's what we got.
And it kind of went from there. So there's even if I feel like for this one more than some of the others, I came in with movement originally and then kind of messed with it.
We start with like a very basic idea and then just pick it apart and put it in different places.
Pick it apart,
Expand it, pick it apart, put it back together until we have like a whole show.
Yeah.
And by the end of the show, we don't even know. We were talking about earlier, like who choreographed this part? We can't even remember
Yeah.
because we've done it so many times in so many different places, and so many of us have contributed something that you start to realize at the end like who's done what.
Right.
And it's very good about putting it together, taking it apart, and being like this goes here, this goes here, splicing, and it's like a huge
Cut and
puzzle.
paste, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of, whenever we get to, there's always a part in the process kind of, 2/3 of the way through when we start actually setting things. And it always
happens
becomes
so
this
late.
like brain teaser because it's just me going through and going, all right, you're gonna do this phrase here, and then it's gonna take you into this phrase, and then this one, and this one, and this one, and you're gonna move over here and then do this thing, and I feel so bad.
It was because we had generated so much movement, and she was like, okay, cool, and generate more movement, cool. And then by the end, so like by the 2/3 process, we have all this stuff, and she's like, all right, I'm planned. We're gonna do this.
Master plan.
And then it's like we have spreadsheets. Like I'm
We
not
have
even kidding. We
spreadsheets.
literally have
We have
spreadsheets.
And I couldn't even dance 3 months into it because I just got surgery. on
Yeah,
my
he had knee
ACL.
surgery,
Yeah.
so we had to like
Yeah.
completely.
Actually,
put it
that's-
into
So I got put in at the end.
Yeah.
I was like,
The
I was
the last few
overwhelmed.
months. It was just like, and so then we had to figure out how to do all the pieces that he wasn't in. So we basically like finished all of the other stuff and then put him in everywhere else. And then the whole show like took on a different effect
yeah,
because Lamar was actually in it.
yeah.
But like, it just the amount, like literally we have spreadsheets and there's note taking. And there's times when we're not
There's a
even
lot
like,
of note taking.
Notes.
There's a lot.
I
of
think I
much
had like
notes.
2 spreadsheets worth of notes.
Yeah.
For pieces, especially peer pressure and layers. I had to rewrite the phrase like
Rewrite it.
over and over again, like what am I doing?
A lot of this is I studied with a choreographer in San Francisco called Robert Moses. He's amazing. And this is the way he tends to work. He gives his dancers puzzles to solve. And he does that where every day you come in and you learn a new thing, you make a new thing, and then like the week before the show he goes, all right, here's what's happening, and he throws it all together. I like to keep this in.
Yes.
But I have literally been in pieces of his that are changing up until the dress rehearsal the night before. And then he comes in the night before and goes, all right, this is the actual order of these. So, yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank you all for.
Yes, thank you so much. Is there any more?
Oh, I have one more. Just using the movement as a language. It's there's a lot of rough was used, hard, a lot of manipulation work, but it seemed to be a phrase, movement phrase that came over and over again that seemed the most difficult was this.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was any special significance
That's the
during the rehearsals
motif,
of Palm to
the
Palm.
motif.
That is our motif. Thank you for
It, yes.
Oh, no problem.
In case you missed it.
In case you missed it, it's motif.
Yeah. So a lot of times what I like to do is to create some kind of signature or a motif that can kind of run through the whole show.
Signifies this is this show.
Right, and for this one, because it was duets mostly and because it was about relationships, it seemed like doing the palm to palm was a nice motif that we could do a lot of different things with. And in fact, I think there's only 2 places in the show where it happens. There's one at the beginning with you two, and then there's one at the end with you and I. And everything in the middle is slightly different. They're facing different directions, or we're on the floor back to back, or there's some other thing happening as well. But there's that same, and I think for me it's very expressive gesture as well, because it can be reaching for something, it can be stopping someone. You can do a lot of things with it. So a lot of times I like to combine and recombine movements so that it's familiar by the end of the piece, so you feel like you're recognizing things, but every time you see it, it's a little bit different.
Those are the dance phrases more of like a feeling that as you go through it without even realizing it being steps, because you've done it so many times. And it's now so ingrained to you that you don't even have to think about it, you just do it.
And we kind of, for this one, sort of roughly, we had a phrase for each book. And they kind of got messed with a little bit, so I think Faulkner sort of made a couple of phrases. Looking for Alaska, we had a duet. Paper Towns, we had what we called paper phrase, which was 2 versions. We had the full out version that you saw Patty and I doing back there at the end, and we had the paper version, which Patty did at the end of the Paper Towns section, which references some of the themes talked about in the book of seeing, a town spread out before you, but really it's hollow, it's made out of people, there's no substance there. And trying to make it real. And that, going back to the collaborative thing, that's an example of a phrase that we all put together. I basically gave them a little assignment, I think it was like 8 counts,
Make
it was like 4
paper phrase
movements or something. And I had them all make up a couple of different phrases and we strung them all together.
And we're all big movers, so it was kind of difficult to make her go really, she's like, I'm serious, like basic, simple paper phrase.
Yes, like paper dolls,
Okay.
very, very difficult to move for this crowd.
But,
Oh, all 3 of us dancers are from Slippery Rock.
So.
Yes.
Slippery Rock.
Yay.
In case anyone was wondering, dance right there.
Yeah.
You seem to be such a cohesive group. How long have you all been dancing together?
Goodness.
Amber, how long have you been with us? You're the newbie.
Yeah, January.
January.
So she's been with us,
Yeah, she's been with us since January. These 2 are founding members. They've been with us since we started 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years of being hard.
And we've been getting together since 2007.
So they've been together forever.
Yeah.
Well, we've all been together, like, so he and I went to school together, and we're in the same year, so we danced together for a while. And we danced with Amber at school as well. I danced with Ellen in a different company, and then she left and did another company, and then I followed her.
Yeah.
And then Lamar was also there. And we had other,
We've had other dancers.
So many
come and
Slippery
go.
Rock.
we've had other guests come and go, but this group we've had since January.
As schedules and that sort of thing, we tend to have time to involve people come in and out.
But
These 2 are always here though. These 2 have been here for like permanently, they're permanent fixtures.
Yes, we are.
And in fact, and I've told Lamar this, at this point they are permanent fixtures enough that I choreographed for them. Where I was conceptualizing this show and looking for Alaska was these two. It wasn't even the inspiration as much as I know that these two can rock this.
Thank
And
you.
that's where it came from. So,
Yeah, the four of us, for the first rehearsal, we did a couple of improv games.
Mhm.
And it was just so nice to close in a virgin, because we had games at school.
Yeah.
And all this kind of just, throughout the process, became a very nice cohesive group.
I feel like it tends to happen when we're working with something so material.
Yes.
We end up talking a lot about
Because we all read
the
the
source material.
and something.
When we were doing, the video game piece, we talked about the different games and we got to find out who liked which games and that sort of thing. So it kind of comes out of talking about how we want it to translate this into the games. So, any other questions?
Lunches.
Anybody?
What is each of your favorite books, and which character did you like to portray the most in the dance?
Shoot. You guys want to go down the road?
I don't think I can pick a favorite.
Yeah, I don't think I can.
Okay.
But I love Paper Towns.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really love Patty's character, of course.
Which this one's
Paper Towns.
Paper Towns.
Yeah.
Or
Paper
Paper
Girl.
Girl.
Margo makes everybody.
Margo is so mean. I'm the meanest character in this whole
These
thing.
are the kinds of conversations we have in rehearsal.
I'm not even kidding. For this whole thing, I was like, I'm like the meanest character for all of
Patty
these.
will
Like
just-
every single book, I'm just
Patty will just stop dancing in the middle of rehearsal and go, I hate Margo.
Margo's so mean. She doesn't even mean to be. She's just so absent that
That's just
she's
who
so
she is.
mean.
And I think too, I mean, so I basically cast, because everyone has multiple characters that they're playing. I kind of tried to sort them so that they fit together.
The theme was really similar to all of our characters.
Yeah, and Patty, I was calling the Enigma because there tends to be a character in John's books who the narrator just kind of is obsessed with them but doesn't know anything about them. So
It's kind of there.
they're sort of there, but he's placing more context than there really needs to be.
And then the character gets mad. It's like,
So yeah, and that tends. I mean, it's Margo, it's Alaska, it's Catherine number 3.
Catherine number 3. I loved Paper Towns book, but I think Alaska was my favorite character in this particular. Yeah, I loved both of these books. I mean, I loved all 4. They're all fantastic.
Yeah, they are great books.
And they're all very, very different feels. But for me, Paper Towns is one of my favorites. But the Alaska character is fantastic. She's so like abrasive and so kind of pushy, and that's not me.
Yeah.
Not-
I don't know if anyone knows me, like if I'm that way, I'm sorry.
There
But I'm not very
there was just a
pushy
lot
or
of going
abrasive.
out of people's comfort zones.
So it was very like the whole manipulation thing was just like out of left field for me. I was like, oh, okay. Thank you. It's good. I worked on it for a long time. He kept yelling, he's like, you have to actually finish it.
No, Margo is my favorite.
Aw.
I feel like it's hard for me to pick a favorite, but I'm going to go with Paper Towns. And honestly, for me in this show, I think playing Q is my favorite. Q from Paper Towns is she and I have had that trio of pieces done for a while.
A long
We did it at the Carnegie Library's event.
So those 3 events in June?
Yeah.
7?
Since the beginning of June, and that it's just a fun exchange. I like doing the directed solo at the beginning of that. That's like the only improvised thing left in the show. The rest of it is pretty much set, which is weird. So a lot of things, but that one is basically she was directing from a chair, and she was trying to get me to do one of the phrases from the show, but she's
Oh, no,
not
I-
allowed to tell me which one.
So we don't discuss it beforehand, and I ended up just sort of
We
like
sort of
picking
mix
pieces
stuff up.
from every single thing.
So
It's like,
I just have to kind of
great.
follow
Yeah,
whatever
that's
she's
great.
doing. And that was always fun. That's probably my favorite part. That or the duet video. That's one of my favorite parts as well. Yeah, the supporting one.
I love the like the music and the direct, like that whole music for that was just lovely.
Yes, yeah.
And you
died really well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It was hard because you know, two of the books involve characters dying, but 2 of them don't. So, you know, we kind of, you and I, ended up being the ghosts.
My guts, and unfortunately, my guts is very like abrupt.
Yeah, she gets an offstage death.
Offstage death.
She gets an off-screen or off-book.
Off-book.
Off-book?
Off-book.
Off-narration.
This book's over here, mine's over there.
Yeah. So, you have a favorite?
Well, Looking for Alaska was the last one I read, so that one says there. But it's either that or Paper Towns. I liked watching Margo's character. I think I like the movie the best too.
Yeah, the paper phrases. I feel like it's hard to pick a favorite book because they're the kind of books that you're glad you read them, but you wouldn't necessarily probably enjoy them, like in the middle, because they're like, especially Looking for Alaska and the Fault in Our Stars, it's so sad at the end that you're glad that you've experienced it. So, I mean, I think we all kind of picked Paper Towns because it's the happiest one.
Yes.
But yeah.
Any more questions?
Other questions? Anybody?
Thank you guys so much for
Awesome.
coming.
Thank you for coming.